You know, there's this professor, I think his name is Wolff. He put a challenge up on YouTube to me a couple of weeks ago to debate him. And what did he say? He said, he criticized my criticism of Marx. He said, well, that Peterson, you know, he's basically stuck in 1989. It's like, we've progressed way past the time of the Stalinists. It's like, and I thought, well, how about if a Nazi said that? Just out of curiosity. It's like, well, it's not 1945, you know, anymore. It's like us National Socialists, we've progressed way past what happened in Nazi Germany. It's like we should just, don't be stuck in the past, right? It's time to give us another chance. It's like, well, how about no? How about, well, we have the Soviet Union with the 20 million dead there, and we have Mao's China with God only knows how many people were killed there, and we have Cambodia, we have Vietnam, and Venezuela isn't looking that great, by the way, and Cuba can't feed itself, and that's just a smattering of Marxist catastrophes. It's like, well, how much evidence do you need exactly? And here's also what I think about modern Marxists. This is what they think. First of all, they think they're driven by compassion, and they're not, because they're not saints. And second, what they truly believe is, well, you know, everyone so far that's implemented Marxism, they weren't really the true acolyte of Marx that I am. They didn't have the real insight into the Marxist philosophy that I do. If I would have been running the Soviet Union, instead of Stalin, I would have ushered in the communist utopia. When the truth of the matter is that had you been a genuinely compassionate Marxist in 1915, your head would have been among the first on the chopping block. You can be absolutely certain of that. So I don't buy any of it, and I don't understand for the life of me why it's any more permissible in polite society to proclaim proudly that you're a Marxist after the absolute catastrophe of the 20th century than it is to claim that you're a National Socialist. So that's how it looks to me. I'm no fan of left-wing collectivists, or those on the right for that matter.
I'll talk about that in a moment. It's probably because they have what is called the monopolio de los sentimientos, the monopolio, how would you say that? Monopoly, no, that sounds a bit weird. They have the control or the dominance over feelings, no? That's where the left...
Well, it's a mask of compassion. It's like, well, I'm for the poor. It's like, yeah, sure you are. It's not that easy to be for the poor. It's not that easy. You know, and one of the things that's worth reflecting on, for example, is that, you know, there's antipathy generated towards the 1%, you know, because, well, I already pointed out that in systems of productivity, as Marx did point out, a vast proportion of what's produced goes to a relatively small minority of people. That's definitely the case. But, like, where do you draw the line exactly? It's so, like, you're a modern Western Marxist, right? And you're concerned about the 1%. It's like, you know what? How much money you need to make per year to be among the top 1% in the world? It's $32,000. So everyone in the West is part of the 1%. It's like, so what? We're all on the chopping block? Or no, what do? We decide that there's an arbitrary border within which we're going to calculate that. And that turns out to be conveniently the case that the despicable rich are those people who have more money than me. So, and you see this too in Ivy League schools, for example, in the United States, where the students are protesting, you know, the oppressive, tyrannical patriarchy. And I think, well, what the hell do you think you're part of, you 18-year-olds at Yale? It's like, you know, you're just because you're baby patriarchal tyrants, it doesn't mean that you're not in the game. You're completely in the game. Harvard, I mean, I was there for 6 years. Harvard treated its undergraduates extraordinarily well. And the reason for that is that they knew that 40% of them, and this was quite a while ago, would have a net worth of over $1 million by the time they were 40. And so they didn't think about them as oppressed 18-year-olds. They thought about them as extraordinarily rich people who just didn't have their money yet. And so if you're part of an Ivy League, especially an Ivy League institution, and you think you're not part of the patriarchal tyranny, for what that's worth, then, well, what you don't know about the world would take Ivy League professors more than 4 years to teach you, especially the way they teach you now.
Did you read Piketty's